Hi, I'm Lisa, and I'd like to share with you how you can help yourself come out of a muscle spasm if you find you're having one. Muscle spasms often happen if a muscle is habituated to a high level of contraction. They can also occur, for not drinking enough, for not getting enough sleep. Before I get to how to come out of the cramp, I want to just talk briefly, in case it's new for you, about how muscles work together to help us move. They work in antagonistic pairs. The agonist muscle is the muscle that's contracting. The antagonistic muscle is the muscle that is not contracting. It is being reciprocally inhibited from contracting so that it stays long and allows me to bend my elbow. You can imagine if my tricep muscle was very contracted, as I want to bend my elbow, it's also contracting, and so my bicep has to work even harder, and I might not be able to bend my elbow all the way because my tricep is so contracted it can't allow the movement to happen. That reciprocal inhibition is the key to coming out of a cramp. So as a hanasomatic educator, the way I would work with a muscle that at present is being contracted to a high level. Remember, your nervous system doesn't just contract a muscle and then forget about it. Your nervous system is actually working 24/7, maintaining that level of contraction. So we use our nervous system, motor cortex, to voluntarily contract the muscle that is being involuntarily contracted, and then voluntarily release to help reset the muscle to a lower level of contraction. Let's use your bicep as an example. So if I know my bicep is holding contraction, what I would do as a hanasomatic educator, I would do the movement my bicep does, which is elbow flexion. I'm doing it lifting out of the pull of gravity. So now gravity helps me to release. I slowly come out of the movement, not by engaging tricep muscle, but by decreasing the level of contraction in my bicep muscle. I contract my bicep to bend my elbow, going just to comfort, and then I slowly and with control release. In that release, my motor cortex is now sending neural impulses down the spinal cord out at the segment that talks to my bicep, telling it to decrease the level of contraction. And after I have done that about 3 times, the level of contraction in my bicep is now lower than where I started. And that means that my bicep is going to be less apt to go into spasm when I'm doing flexion movements of my elbow in daily life. So that's how I would work with any part of my body that I know it feels tense, it feels contracted. You work differently with your muscle if you're in a spasm. So a spasm is a sudden, involuntary, strong contraction of the muscle. If my bicep, will stay with that example, if my bicep is, I'll turn so you can see, if my bicep is in a spasm, I don't want to contract it more. That's going to make the spasm worse. I'm going to use reciprocal inhibition to come out of the spasm. So as I now do a very small extension of my elbow, My nervous system is telling tricep muscles to contract, and they are telling my bicep muscles to not contract. You can come into a slight extension, hold, 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 and then you release. Please know, I am not straightening my elbow to try to stretch my bicep. Stretch causes stretch reflex, and as soon as you come out of it, your muscle immediately recontracts. What we're doing is the smallest movement you could do to cause the muscle that works in a pair with the muscle that's spasming. We're doing its movement. So again, my bicep is in a spasm. I'm going to do the movement of my tricep, a slight straightening at my elbow, hold, 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 and then slowly release. By contracting my tricep, my nervous system is telling my bicep to not contract, and that helps me to come out of the cramp. So let's say people often have cramps in, your lower legs. So say that you, in the middle of the night, you wake up with a cramp in your calf. Ankle extension is done with your calf muscles. So if you wake up, your calf muscle is in a spasm, you do a very small ankle flexion. It's a moving of your heel forward. You're now contracting muscles in the front of your lower leg, and your nervous system is simultaneously telling your calf muscles to stop contracting. You come into the movement, hold, 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 and you release. And you may repeat it up to 3 times. My calf muscle is contracting. I do a slight ankle flexion, heel a little forward. These muscles are now being contracted, and as a part of doing the movement, my calf muscles are being told to stop contracting. If I woke up in the middle of the night with a spasm in my calf, I would do that to come out of it. And then I would say to myself, that might be telling me that I am carrying some habituated contraction in those muscles. So when I am not in a spasm, daily if you can, I'm going to do my voluntary pandiculation with my calf muscles to help reset them out of that high level of maintained contraction so that I'm less apt to go into a spasm. And you can work with your calf muscles with a straight leg, doing ankle extension, ball of foot forward, and slowly releasing. This targets more the rounded muscles you see on the outside, gastrocnemius, and slowly release. You can also work with soleus. It's that deeper, flatter, broad muscle in your calf. And to help work with soleus, you bend your knee and pick your heel up. And slowly, with control, release. Inhale as you pick your heel up, going just to comfort. Exhale as you slowly let it come down. So I hope that this is helpful to you if you find yourself in a cramp, and things you can do to prevent the cramp from happening in the first place, and then what to do to help yourself if you are in a muscle spasm. Thanks so much for watching. Namaste.